Hi guys, welcome back to Simply Shania, and today I'm going to be doing something very different, and I am going to be doing a review of The Power of the Doctor, the BBC centenary episode that aired on Sunday just gone. So I did a TikTok video literally after the episode finished, and I have so many more thoughts. I mean, I have like 4 pages of notes of just things to say, so we might be here a while, and I do apologise in advance because it is going to be rambly and might not make sense. So going into the episode, I was absolutely terrified. Chibnall had left so much that needed to be explored with the Timeless Child, Ruth Martin's Doctor, the aftermath of the Flux really, and just kind of everything. As well as a big thing for me was Thasmin. Like, I have been so engrossed in the relationship between 13 and Yaz, and I had expectations, like I think most of the fandom did, but we'll get onto that later. Overall though, I did really enjoy it. I did think it was a fantastic episode. Well, not fantastic, that's a bit over the top. I thought it was a really good episode. I am going to I probably am going to think of this episode more of a standalone than part of the series, just because when I say there was a lot to address, Chibnall just didn't even try to address it. He just left the Timeless Child out. The only real thing that we had with the Flux was the appearance of Vinda. But there was so much going on, and I was enthralled right from the beginning. The opening on the space train, wow, very unexpected. And I was very, very intrigued to see where it was going to go. It took me longer than I would like to admit to realise that the Quarunx was that little girl in the box, and that she was, it took me much longer than I would like to admit to realise that was her. But then as soon as I did realise that, I was like, oh, that's how the space train links in. Because I was really confused as to what the relevance of that space train was. But, it was great. The only thing I was very confused about was the Time Lord Cybermen. Not the Time Lord Cybermen, but with the regeneration powers. Because the last time we seen the Master was on Gallifrey with the Cybermen as it got blew up. So not only am I confused as to how the Master got out of there, I'm confused as to how the Cybermen got out of there. And I'm hoping, highly doubting, but hoping that there is some explanation to that as we move forward with Russell T Davies. So it makes sense in my head to start at the start, hence I've talked about the Cybertrain and Dan's departure. So obviously in the promos there wasn't a lot of Dan, and I got scared thinking he was going to die. I didn't expect him to be leaving 10-15 minutes into the show. However, as the show went on, as we progressed further through the episode, I realised, no, this works. That makes sense as to why Dan left so early. And it did make sense for me in how much they were trying to do, and just the way it worked out. It made sense, and I liked his little reappearance at the end. But again, we'll get onto that. So, one thing I didn't like, and I did get quite confused with, was why we kept jumping from 1916 to 2022 and how they linked. Like, I loved Sacha Darwin's Rasputin Master. It was brilliant. To be fair, let's talk about the Master. His acting, he just nails it every single time. I think he's incredible, and he's probably my favourite of the Master incarnations that we have seen. It's so real, so manic, and it is what the Master is to me. Like, it just, I don't know, it does make sense, and I think he is fantastic. His plan in this episode, you can obviously tell that he's spent a lot of time working on it and planning this to do what he's done. And I can't say it enough. I loved it. The rah rah Rasputin da 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 da. I was in stitches. So I went to my grandparents' and I watched it there with my friend, and literally the moment in the episode where the Cyberman and the Dalek turned to look at each other, at that moment me and my friend looked at each other as if to say, what is going on? But again, it makes so much sense with Darwin's Master and his characterization of the role that I didn't really question it too much. You know, like, we moved on and I was like, okay, that just happened. And it works. How? That's what I want to know. How does it work? But it works. So yeah, and forced regeneration. Obviously, we know about forced regeneration, but it was so different and so unexpected. I was absolutely terrified that when Darwin forced 13 to regenerate into himself, I was absolutely terrified that that was going to be the last we would see of Jodie. I was like, no, this can't be how she goes. This can't be how she goes. But it wasn't. We got her. She got the farewell. But wow, it was so... I was on the edge of my seat. During that whole forced regeneration sequence, I was on the edge of my seat. And I was like, oh my word, no. Please don't let that be the last of Jodie. And I was very close to crying because I would have been so annoyed if that was her goodbye, but it wasn't, and I'm so glad. There's so much to talk about. Like, I'm 7 minutes in already, and I'm like, what? No, yes. It was a jam-packed episode, you know? It was a jam-packed episode, and quite a lot of it, I think, was fan service. It was a lot of fan service, but I quite like the way that Chibnall went with that, in terms of, no, I've got too much to wrap up. I haven't got the time to do what I wanted to do, you know, whether that's COVID or to go with the rumours that it was cut short. I don't know. But I like the way that he was like, no, I'm going to go along this route. I'm going to do the fan service. I'm going to bring back Ace. I'm going to bring back Tegan. Graham in a volcano. What? There was so much. But I did really enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. Yeah. See, this is I've been trying for the last 2 days to form some sort of coherence to record this video and put it up. And in classic Shania fashion, it's gonna have no editing, so you're gonna have the raw footage. I'm not sorry for that, because then you can see my brain, you can see how it's working in this review. Now, one thing I have wrote here, and I've got it in big capital letters: everyone lived. What? Like I said, I was convinced Dan was going to die. I was convinced Jazz was going to die. I was convinced somebody somewhere along the road was going to die. Now, I realised Dan nearly did die at the start. He got shot. And he was like, no more. I can't do this. You don't have to come and pick me up anymore. But again, like I said, it works, you know. Now, Tegan and Ace. I liked them. I liked the fact that they were back, and I think when they were in unit, they very much did have a role, and their characters did make sense. But at the same time, I did think there was a bit of, they're just there, you know, fan service. They're just being brought back to appease people. But the Nitro 999, loved it. I'm going to take this opportunity now to go on to the appearances from the other Doctors. like I said, this is all over the spot. I do apologise. I absolutely adored that segment where Geordie had been forced to regenerate and she was on the edge of the cliff and there was all the doctors, you know, changing into each other. Why aren't you wearing robes? I don't like robes. There's always one. You know, just their interactions with each other as they were changing was phenomenal. And the way Geordie was with them, I thought that scene is probably one of my favourites in the show, just because it was so unexpected. Amongst everything else that we knew we were getting, we didn't know we were getting them, you know? And it was lovely. It was really nice to see, and to see them as the age they are and being able to justify why they look, you know, why they look the age they are, I thought it was brilliant. Ah, my gosh, my brain is on fire. I'm gonna miss so much. So yeah, anyway, back to Tegan and Ace. Lol, I'm all over the place. How did she survive that fall? When she was climbing down the ladder? How did she survive? She fell so far. Like, she should have been dead there. But no, she survived and she's fine. Walked away uninjured. Uninjured. What? Explain, Chibnall. How did she survive, please? I'm not getting an answer, am I? No. Ah, well. So yeah, that's one of the things that I'm like, how did she survive? There's probably a lot more like plot holes or something to focus on than that, but I think I'm focusing on that because when I get to the end of this review, oh my god. Anyway, I loved it. The conversion planet with the Quarunks and everything, I really did enjoy. And I quite like the touch of the Master's TARDIS now being a police box. Like, I get that with the whole, I'm forcing you to regenerate into me, I'm going to become the Doctor and ruin your name. I thought that was marvellous. Like, I really did. The way he's planned it and thought about it, and yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't get my words out. Please help. But I thought that was brilliant. The Daleks. Quite honestly, I do think they were just there. I liked the idea of the rogue Dalek, like, that came forward and was like, we're not what we were, you know, and trying to help the Doctor. I did really enjoy that, and I thought that that was a nice touch. But the volcanoes, I get it, but again, it was part of the. It got me in the confusion of the time zones. How does it all link? Like, why is the conversion world in 1916? Is it? I think, and the Daleks in 2022, or vice versa. I can't remember so much. You know, no, yeah, cyber Cyberplanet in 1916. Either way, you know, I didn't get how they linked. And the one thing that did confuse me was the seismologist master and the Rasputin master. Were they the same? Was he time jumping as the Doctor was time jumping, or what? You know, there is questions there, but comparing this to most of the episodes during Jodie and Chibnall's era, it was fantastic. Now, this isn't me hating on Jodie. I have adored her Doctor, and I am very much aware that it is the writing and the 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 production side of things that's let her down rather than her and her acting skills. Because there was moments in every season, you know, and I think most Doctor Who fans will agree with me there. There are moments where you're like, yes, Jodie, that is, you know, you were made for that. But then most of the time she's just been let down. Oh, it annoys me. It does a bit. Now, speaking of all the returns and everything going on, Graham in the volcano with his psychic paper, I loved that. Friend of the Doctor's, you know, just how they could. Oh yeah, I loved it. I genuinely can't get my head around it quite yet, but moving on, because I don't want this video to be too long, otherwise no one will watch it. The holograms. So earlier on in the episode, when Doctor was static, you know, I was very confused. I was like, why is she staticky? Anyone that follows me on Twitter, I did a live tweet of the Doctor Who episode, and half of it was like, what is going on? Why is she staticky? I don't understand what's happening till about an hour in, when things started making sense. And I was like, right, okay, I'm with you now. I liked that touch of the holograms that she created, and the way that it changes in appearance depending on who it was interacting with. I thought that was great. I loved the interactions with Davidson and McCoy and Tegan and Ace. I thought they were brilliant, and the call back with Braveheart. Oh, yeah, and I love. Oh, so many emotions. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was beautiful, and it wasn't something I expected from Chibnall. You know, it really wasn't. I've got so used to turning on the telly, watching Doctor Who, and being like, oh, that was all right. Whereas I think I've enjoyed this episode so much. That's why I'm having to make this video. Everyone, just watch it, guys. If you haven't already, watch it. I want to rewatch it already, and oh, yeah. Now, onto the point of the review that's most, Yaz. I love her. I absolutely love Yaz. I love Mandy Gill. I just think she is phenomenal, and I thought her and Jodie together as a TARDIS team were just, if they'd had the writing that like earlier seasons had, they would have been a force to be reckoned with. I mean, they were anyway, but more so. Her reaction with Ace and Tegan, like finding out about the others that used to travel with the Doctor, I thought that was beautiful, the way they addressed it, but it wasn't in your face, you know. And then obviously Yaz trying to figure that out in her little head, whilst also being alone for quite a lot of the episode. I want to see, right, I'm going off on a tangent now, but I would love to see like a Big Finish or something of like the adventures they've gone on where Yaz has learnt to pilot the TARDIS. You know, like, how many companions have learnt how to pilot the TARDIS? Someone remind me, because my Doctor Who knowledge is a bit fuzzy at the minute, I'm not going to lie to you. But I thought that was brilliant. Just the way she was able to fly the TARDIS, no qualms, like, I've got to save the Doctor, I've got to do this. Ends up on the conversion planet with Vinda, and the parachuting into the TARDIS. I just thought, oh my word. And Kate's reaction when she was in it, oh, is it bigger on the inside? You know, it's just all these little things that I really, really enjoyed. In classic Yaz fashion, I like the fact that even on their last adventure, it was Yaz, stay here. No, follows the Doctor. You know, it was very much staying in character and following their relationship, their dynamic, you know. I would have liked a little bit more time with just Jodie and Yaz, just 13 and Yaz. I thought I would have loved that, just, you know, but we've got the end of the episode, which I'm coming on to. Now, before I go on to that, I was sat there for the full episode going, I wonder who it's going to be. Is it going to be Shooty or is it going to be David? I'm not going to lie, that moment where they were all in the TARDIS and 13 was putting their hands on the different places on the console, I turned to my friend and I went, David's coming back. And he was like, why? I was like, I don't know, there's just been too many nods to David Tennant. I know it sounds ridiculous, they've used them more, but the orange jumpsuits, the Journey's End reference there, you know, I thought, I was like, David's coming back. But yet, when that regeneration sequence, when Georgie was on the cliff and it was, Doctor, whoever I'm gonna be, tag, you're it, which was a beautiful line. I was I was reading different things and watching different things, and somebody said that they liked the idea that Jodie didn't have to do a speech like 11 and 12 and things have done, and I agree. I thought a speech would have been very out of place, but the way they did it was very, very appropriate to 13, I think. And I did really, really enjoy it. I thought the scene, the staging of it was beautiful, being up on the cliff with the regeneration just going everywhere. You know, I did think it was beautiful. So, yeah. So, two things. These are the two last things. When she regenerates, the clothes changed. Now, I know I'm not the only one to think this, but I have some sort of theory in my mind that the regeneration's gone wrong. But at the same time, I know we're getting David back for 3 episodes. He's been confirmed as the 14th Doctor, and he's coming back for 3 episodes. So I'm starting to think, maybe not. You know, I do think there's something gone wrong somewhere with the regeneration, and that's why 13 has ended up back in the body of Tennant. But that's something that we'll have to wait and see where Russell takes it. I do feel a bit sorry for Shooty that he is now the 15th, but David Tennant's back, and I love David Tennant. Sorry, I really need to drink. I've been talking for 21 minutes. I absolutely love David Tennant, and I love him as a Doctor. He is my Doctor. So, I'm on board for anything he does, really. Yeah. I think something's gone wrong. Watch this space. We'll wait and see. We've got so long to wait before the next episode, and there's going to be so many theories. I can already see them coming on Tumblr, so it's going to be good. Now, I mentioned it at the start of this video, and we're going to go back to it now. Thasmin. There has been so much over the last 5 years where they have slowly been building up Thasmin. The last episode, the New Year episode, they basically confess their feelings to each other. Well, no, through Dan, but I expected more. You know, the scene in the TARDIS where it was like one last adventure and they went for ice cream and they were sat above the world, above the earth. I just thought that was the perfect opportunity, you know, not even for a kiss, just something. I feel like us as the fans, and even Mandip and Jodie, I feel like they've been done a bit of a disservice by not doing anything there. Now, I heard something, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, that The Power of the Doctor was written before the New Year episode. Fair enough if it was, and I understand, I do, but could they not have made a little change? Just a teeny tiny change? Teeny tiny kiss on the cheek, you know? And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was reading on Tumblr, and every companion in New Who has had some sort of kiss with the Doctor, whether it's on the cheek, the lip, you know. Yaz is the first one not to. Well, Graham and Ryan as well. But, you know, this is the first era where we haven't, and yet it felt more needed. Not needed, but more appropriate and more like, okay, this is a route we're going down. The companion's fallen for the Doctor. I just expected something, you know, even a goodbye peck on the forehead. I'd have been happy with that. Speaking of, I felt like it was a little bit out of character when Doctor was like, I think I need to do this next bit alone, and Yaz was like, okay. I do feel like that was a bit out of character. I feel like Yaz would have put up more of a fight. Unless, then again, thinking about it, Yaz probably didn't want to be there when her doctor wasn't there anymore. You know, there is that, but overall, I'm very disappointed in the way they handled Thasmin. There was so much more they could have done. Just, you know, little things there. We didn't need it in your face, but I think I definitely speak for myself, you know, and I'm not sure about other Tasman shippers out there. How do you feel about it? Because I put a thing on Tumblr right after the episode ended, going, how dare they rob us of Thasmin like this? And within an hour, it had about 100 notes. So I'd like to think I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one that's annoyed by it. And my friend, he's not even a Thasmin shipper, and he said, no, that needed something more, you know. But I'm not gonna let that ruin the episode for me. I'm not. I still think that the episode was beautiful. It was filmed really well, and overall, I did love it. I would probably give this episode like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Just on its own. In terms of like with the series, probably like a 6, just because there's still so many things loose, so many things that need to be answered. Ruth, Jo Martin's doctor, how does she come into it? Is Darwin's master before or after Mrs? Because I know there's many theories out there. How does the Timeless Child work with it all? How did the Master and the Cybermen get off Gallifrey? You know, why did the clothes change during the regeneration? All of them things I still have so many questions for. But overall, I thought it was beautiful. And I loved the fact that the title of the episode was The Power of the Doctor. Because personally, I feel like the Doctor's power has been her friendships, has been her relationships with those around her, especially during this era, and especially as, you know, I will say they've done that justice. The whole, I have loved being with you, I have loved being me. I was very nearly in tears. And I did enjoy it. I just wish there was a little bit more. But overall, it was a very good episode, and it was jam-packed. It had me on the edge of my seat, and I was there for the full episode. It was the first time in a long time I've not zoned out halfway through an episode of Doctor Who and had to go back and rewatch it to be able to actually form cohesive thoughts on it. Then again, I'm not forming cohesive thoughts, am I? You know, I'm still all over the place, but that's because I've got so much to say, not because I zoned out or I struggled with the episode. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and honestly, I am so excited for Russell T Davies to return and to see what he does, see what David does, Catherine Tate, Neil Patrick Harris. I'm so excited, and I cannot wait. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. Very good episode. A lovely farewell to Jodie. And yeah, just I enjoyed it. And I hope you guys did too. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on for half an hour. So if you have, please comment down below. Tell me your favourite bit of the show. Tell me, you know, or anything I've said, do you agree, do you disagree? You know, that kind of thing. I want to talk about this. As you can tell, I've talked for half an hour now. I really want to talk about this episode, but I don't really have anyone to talk about it with. So yeah, anyone that wants to talk, please do talk. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Tumblr, that kind of thing. You know, I'll put the links in the description, and we can talk about it, because I have so many thoughts, and there's still things coming into my head now, but I've talked for half an hour. I have missed things, I know I have, but overall, it was a good episode, and it's making me more excited for what is to come. So, yeah. And on that note, I will love you all and see you all later. And, yeah, bye!